Oh, okay. So the checks ain't coming. All right, I apologize. I think Ryan Clark was forced to apologize. Enough time went through. RG3 put enough pressure. A lot of people would kill Ryan Clark for his take. ESPN is like, look, be a bigger man even if you don't mean it. They don't say this, but they like, you do what you want. Apologize how you want. And I gave one of those half-hearted apologies. They don't care. They just want to have it on record that you were contrite. A lot of people, Stephen A. Smith, et cetera, were saying that it was a little slick of RG3 to put that pressure on ESPN to look at this situation. As you remember, RG3 did say this is a bad look for ESPN. Well, let me just say one thing. If you have a public problem, I suggest you get a public solution. I am not a fan of when you call somebody out on your podcast, on your shows, Twitter, whatever, and all of a sudden you want to have this private convo all of a sudden. No. We had a public problem. We're going to have a public solution. So once Ryan Clark went there on his wife, using his wife as a conduit to get to really RG3, your blackness, your corny, etc., then, all right, since we grabbing a ketchup bottle when we fight, I'm going to grab something too.
But shout out to RG3 for forcing Ryan Clark to apologize. Marcellus Wiley reacts to Ryan Clark apologizing to RG3. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
Let's talk about Ryan Clark apologizing to RG3. We'll break down why I think that was a forced apology. We'll also get into athletes that hate each other, since this all started off with RG3 saying that Angel Reese hated Caitlin Clark. And then we'll get into my story of how I was forced one time to apologize by ESPN as well. But without further ado, let's let Ryan Clark talk it away. Let's go, Big Dog.
Let me say this before getting into reasoning, before getting into thought process. She should not have been brought up in me trying to make a point about how having black women close to you and the things that you learn from them can help you in the way that you approach and speak to and about them.
So it took all that controversy for you to realize that? He didn't have to do that. That was a low blow. You're trying to put him in a box and try to destroy his character just because he chose to marry a white woman. But at the same time, it's like you're trying to stand up for black women, which is your right. Cool. But was that the reason to really go off on him like that? And then to go on Twitter and say some more things? ESPN obviously made Ryan Clark apologize. You want to get the big bucks like Stephen A. Smith? We're going to put you out there, throw you to the wolves, make you go after RG3, and then we're going to make you apologize once the backlash gets louder.
All right, we're talking about his wife, RG3's wife, obviously. And my biggest problem when people pander, when people want to go out their way to look out for somebody else, when all of us can take care of ourselves through our actions, through who we are, is because you actually restrict them. As much as you have great intentions of trying to help them out and protect them, you're actually limiting them. And I think that Ryan Clark in this moment has come to that realization and is articulating it. So you just got to make sure that when you go on to look out for somebody, that you're actually not disabling them as you're trying to actually take care of them. Let go.
Yeah, obviously he was pandering. You know, he's going to do whatever he has to do at ESPN. Again, they threw him out there to the wolves. I do believe he felt as though, let me go after RG3. Let me say these things because the whole black thing has been working for me. But he kind of miscalculated his steps, and now he looks like a fool. So I don't got no personal issues with Ryan Clark. But when he goes on these little tirades, these moments, I got to call him out. So it is what it is.
She didn't need to be the illustration of that. I could speak positively about what they are without making the insinuation that it's something that non-black women don't do well. I'm doing the exact same thing, or it may have seemed that I did the exact same thing to her that I'm trying to keep people from doing to black women.
Yeah, let's talk through it real quick. It's because you're actually projecting that they can't do it for themselves. They can't fend for themselves. If I'm a black woman, I want the freedom to hate who I want to hate. Now, it may not be right, may not be true, but damn it, I don't need you to say I can't be hating on somebody and where did you get the evidence from? We're going to talk through that evidence, so keep going, Big Dog.
Yeah, if you're Ryan Clark, man, just stick to sports. I know you're trying to get into this realm. It's been working for you. For the most part, I guess you got a high-paying job at ESPN. A lot of millions on the line. So, but for certain things, you can't go after people because RG3, no matter what you think about him, he's articulate enough to go back and forth with you, especially on these topics. A lot of people have been throwing dirt at RG3 just because he chose his wife and her color and all that stuff. So for you to go off on him and now have to face all that backlash, is this a genuine apology? I don't think so. I just think he had to do it because ESPN, they miscalculated their steps, sending Ryan Clark out there to the social media wolves. It was a bad misstep.
My thought process was, in seeing certain clips on my algorithm, on my timeline, they do a podcast together. In that podcast, they talk very openly about not being black enough. They talk very openly about biracial kids, what it's like to not be accepted in the black community. They very rarely talk about black women.
Not fair. This is why I'm doing this show, in part because Ryan Clark has multiple shows he's on, and he's on my algorithm like anybody else in sports media, right? At the same time, for me to make an absolute statement, which is like, oh, well, you don't do this, or even a relative statement, well, you only do this a little, which is talk about black women in a positive way, et cetera. That's not fair, because how much information are we really gathering? You seen 10 clips and you only seen one where he was talking good. You can assume the other 9 are bad. That's not good math. That's not good logic.
Yeah, he's just trying to put him in a box. He wants him to be Ryan Clark. That's essentially what it is. Ryan Clark wants RG3 to be a version of him, or if not, he's not authentic. You married a white woman and all that stuff. I'm going to throw shots at you and then try to hide my hand when the media backlash gets a little loud. So again, just because people roll a certain way, they don't talk about certain subjects that you want them to talk about consistently, doesn't mean they're this type of person that you're trying to paint them out to be. Ryan Clark, bro, just chill out, stick to football. That's something that you're decent at. But when you try to cross paths and go down these subjects, you just looking like a fool, bro.
That RG3 posted that I felt like mocked Angel Reese. She was in the background.
What's wrong with mocking Angel Reese? Last time I watched sports, I mean, we got Follies. We got Shaq and the Fool. We got like all these shows and segments. I used to do That Dude's Dudes. That was clowning people. Women should have raised their hand to be in that segment. It was an Emmy Award winning segment. Women, black women, whoever should be raising their hand to be the one getting the attention. You know who didn't go on those shows, segments, etc.? Shaq and the Fool. People we don't know about, people we don't care about, bench riders, bums, whatever you want to call it. So the cost of praise is criticism. It comes with the territory.
Yeah, I wonder what Ryan Clark's reaction would have been if RG3 says Caitlin Clark hates Angel Reese and maybe stood on the side that he was on. Would there have been some backlash? Like, why is he going off on Caitlin Clark? Would he just be defending women, or he can only defend black women? So, again, Ryan Clark, you kind of sound like a hypocrite. You made comments before. I kind of just, it is what it is. It's ESPN, Disney, battery in his back, trying to make that Stephen A. Smith $100+ million contract type money. But when you say stuff like this, bro, I got to clap back at you. I ain't got no personal issues with you again, but when you talking like this, bro, all over the place, trying to stand on business on social media, then your employer calls you and be like, look, bro, just go ahead and address it. Try your best to apologize. Even if you don't mean it, just say something because it's making us look bad as a company.
I love the optics of RG3, a black man, attacking and imitating, and what I felt insulting,
it's not attacking,
mocking a black woman.
Crazy,
as
bro.
His wife was in the background, almost seemingly as a prop of, and this is my feeling, of what was good.
So he's supposed to tell his wife, get out the room. I'm about to have my reaction to Angel Reese, and it's going to piss off people. So let's not, try to feed into the optics. So you're basically telling them, I want you to be this certain way. I want you to say these certain things. And don't make the optics look a certain way. Have your wife leave the room and don't go at Angel Reese like that because I got to come at you. It's my job. It's a part of my ESPN contract. So, Ryan Clark, you sounding crazy right now.
Amening, nodding along, and applauding what I felt like was a personal attack.
Okay, it wasn't a personal attack. You're the one that took it away from sports. We always say that athletes hate each other. We always say that the Steelers hate the Ravens, etc. We always say that Frazier hated Ali. Like, we've been saying this since we knew sports. I played at Inglewood. We hated Carson. I was 8 years old. I never been to Carson. was like, what? But I know when we played the Carson Colts, I knew it was time to, this ain't the same feeling as when we playing Lameda, when we were playing North Orange County. Come on, man. Like, you're smarter than that. You only sounded smart to dumb people if you're really trying to go with that I thought you were just trying to put her down. Come on now.
I don't think he's smarter than that. I honestly think he may just be an idiot. He's trying to be this whole race warrior for black people, but you're actually looking crazy out there, Ryan Clark. Like, you felt more about it than Angel Reese did. I don't think Angel Reese cared or knows who RG3 is. So, again, Ryan Clark, if this is authentic, cool, but I just think it's more, this is the time in media. You got to, raise your hand and pander, and I don't believe he's doing half the stuff that he's saying within the community. So, again, he wants to try to trash someone just because they're not moving and acting like how he's acting. It's all an act with Ryan Clark. It's just pandering. It's just trying to get that money from ESPN. But he's not going to say that, though. He's going to try to stand on business and raise his fist in the air.
And then if he had a black wife back there, we'd have no conversation.
Oh, of course not.
That's crazy. Like that means you took it away from sports, Ryan, respectfully, and you put all of your feelings onto it. Well, get out your feelings. Come on.
Well, he got more feelings than Angel Reese right now. He all in his emotions, bro. So if RG3 had a black wife in the background and then he said the same things about Angel Reese, would there have been an issue? So again, man, you try to put people in these racial boxes and then do all this crazy stuff, sound like a fool on social media. Ryan Clark, just chill out, bro. If I'm ESPN, I know you want to do great things for us. I know you want to be in this climate and talk about these issues, but you're just a little too emotional, bro. We allow you to say things like this, but if you're going to go off in the deep end like this, maybe it's best you just stick to sports, even on your own platforms and our platforms. They're going to tell Ryan Clark to chill out. I guarantee it.
I didn't. But that doesn't mean because I have that feeling about what you do to someone else that I can do that to you.
Facts.
So, to Greta, I was out of line. I was out of bounds. I apologize. To all of the people that don't like RG's take or takes or the way that he moves, or even if you just in this conversation take my side and want to support me, leave his family alone.
Like you should have left his family alone, or trying to allude a certain way. Yeah, you didn't go off on a crazy rant about her individually, about his kids, but you're just referring to situations, trying to put him in that box, trying to say that he's corny just because he may not make the type of jokes that you make or choose to lay with the type of people that you lay with, bro. So again, Ryan Clark, you're the one that looks crazy in this whole situation.
Doesn't take a daily attack on his wife, on his children, to remind him that you think his take, his takes, or whatever it is the wrong thing to you. Families should be off limits. I started that by bringing her into it. I see that now. No matter what my intent was, the impact was different. If I had to do it all over again, I would do it a different way.
Should have did it this way from the jump. You're trying to have some accountability, but I just think it was the social media pressure, people calling for your job. You had Stephen A. Smith defend you, and now Stephen A. Smith is looking crazy like, dang, bro, you didn't do nothing wrong. Yeah, you shouldn't have brought up the family and the wife, but still, I don't think he did anything wrong. So he was crashing out on RG3, Stephen A. Smith. That video reaction is on my channel. Check it out. But, man, you got a lot of people that are defending you. Now, 24 hours later, you're coming out with an apology. Ryan Clark, you looking crazy out there on social media.
I get it, big dog. Respect. Something I had to learn, and I learned it from my wife, was to actually accept an apology, respect an apology. Because if I slap the shit out of you right now, right? And then I say, my bad, man, I'm sorry. Whenever I say I'm sorry, I was the one that was like, dog, you did that on purpose. And I don't think this apology is sincere. Like, nothing got into you crazy to do that. So I was always one to struggle with apologies, but she helped me understand that because she told me that apologies really cover two things. One, when you know you did something wrong, you were in the wrong, right? And that's pretty easy and simple. I think that's the elementary level of understanding what an apology is and when you should give it. But the second one, I struggle with a little bit, but then I got it. And you know what helped me understand it, other than my wife, and is reinforcing it? That Tory Lanez situation when he was saying, I'm sorry to Meg. I ain't trying to get off the subject, but you could be sorry for a circumstance, a situation. Even if you felt I ain't do anything wrong, I'm sorry this happened. You get it? That's what I'm thinking of. So Respect to him for saying the apology.
Now, if his apology was sincere, cool, but I just think it was more just a pandering tactic that backfired, a lot of social media pressure. So he had no choice but to kind of double back, issue out an apology, say that he was wrong, try to take some accountability. But I don't think it was that sincere, just a social media move to turn down the pressure.
Now, let's get deeper than that. Because a lot of people, Stephen A. Smith, et cetera, were saying that it was a little slick of RG3 to put that pressure on ESPN to look at this situation. As you remember, RG3 did say this is a bad look for ESPN. Well, let me just say one thing. If you have a public problem, I suggest you get a public solution. I am not a fan of when you call somebody out on your podcast, on your shows, Twitter, whatever, and all of a sudden you want to have this private convo all of a sudden. No. We had a public problem. We're going to have a public solution. So once Ryan Clark went there on his wife, using his wife as a conduit to get to really RG3, your blackness, your corny, etc. Then, all right, since we grabbing a ketchup bottle when we fight, I'm going to grab something too. And
at the end of the day, I'm not mad at RG3 for, saying ESPN, this is a bad look for them. You talk about my family, you talk about my lady, you throw her in the mix when we were just talking about two athletes not liking each other, hating each other, however you want to phrase it. You try to throw my character and try to use my family against me to try to prove a point. Yeah, I'm going to use your employer to prove a point. So shout out to RG3, man. He stood on business and he let ESPN know this could be a bad look for you.
What he grabbed was the pull or the pressure on ESPN to force Ryan Clark to apologize. At the end of this video, I'll tell you why I sincerely think it was a forced apology, because we're athletes. Look, we are cognizant of what we're doing because we see things in like really small moments, short moments, like microseconds, milliseconds, right? And we are very cognizant. We know what's up. And then when we mess up, it's like, but I tried to do that. I just messed up. So every now and then you got to get the double tap from upstairs to say, chill, big dog.
Yeah, apologize now.
Too much.
Getting crazy.
Okay. My other thing is Angel Reese, I still sincerely in a sports way think that she hates Caitlin Clark. And no one's going to make me think different. Why? Because I have enough evidence that she hates Caitlin Clark. And no one's going to make me think different. Why? Because I have enough evidence and ammunition to say that. I don't have a white woman behind me. I don't have a black woman behind me. So I don't know about this prop angle, but dog, it ain't that hard to tell that Angel Reese got smoke with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, it's obvious. Angel Reese feels a certain way. You can say hate, dislike, jealousy. It all falls within the same realm. She doesn't like the media attention Caitlin Clark is getting for saving the WNBA. She feels as though she's doing great for the WNBA, maybe on social media, but as a basketball player, missing shots, getting your own rebounds, trying to get double-doubles that way, she's not really doing anything for the sport on the court. It's just her social media presence is probably a little more than Caitlin Clark right now just because, she on Instagram doing what she's doing, putting on certain outfits. So, of course, she's going to get a lot of social media attention, but it's not really transferring over to the WNBA like Caitlin Clark.
Whatever you want to call that, I call it hate. Sports hate. Nothing wrong with that. And I'm from a black woman. I'm married to a black woman. And guess what? A black woman should have the freedom to hate. like, don't tell me I can't hate somebody or because of what I've been through and the legacy and lineage that I shouldn't hate. Man, stop. I'm talking about this right now, this moment. I'm not talking about all the historical implications, and that's where you went wrong, Ryan. You took it away from sports, and then you made it something more social than sports. It was a sports conversation that you turned social.
And that's what he tries to do, and again, it backfired with Ryan Clark. I don't think Angel Reese has serious smoke with Caitlin Clark. She may dislike her, may not like her for some reason, maybe because of the WNBA and media attention. She's like the only person doing great things in the WNBA. So, of course, Angel Reese is going to feel a certain way about it. But by Ryan Clark moving that conversation to a different racial conversation, that's where Ryan Clark looks crazy right now.
The point is, it's okay to hate somebody in a sports way, sports realm.
Yep.
But when you take it other places, you took it, and that's where it went.
That's where you look crazy. Yeah.
Let me give you this quick story of when I was forced to apologize. In short, I stepped on Adam Schefter's toes. I told you this story before. Some of you probably remember. And I broke a story, Jim Harbaugh to Michigan. All it was my boy text me, said Jim Harbaugh's going to Michigan. And I'm looking at ESPN, I'm like, they don't even know where he's going. So how the hell you know for sure? He's like, trust me, I know. I was like, how? He's like, well, he's in that world of hiring, HR, et cetera. And he had the contract. So he text me back the contract of Jim Harbaugh. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I should say this. And I just went on the air, Max and Marcellus, and just said, Jim Harbaugh's going to Michigan. And everybody's like, what? How you know? For sure. All that, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I just saw the contract. Yeah, he's going. My boy's a headhunter. That's how life went. All of a sudden, phone call, producer. Marcellus, you should apologize. I was like, I fought it like Ryan Clark probably did. I ain't apologizing. I ain't do nothing wrong. You need to apologize. Oh, okay. So the checks ain't coming. All right, I'll apologize. So I think Ryan Clark was forced to apologize. Enough time went through. RG3 put enough pressure. A lot of people would kill Ryan Clark for his take. ESPN is like, look, be a bigger man even if you don't mean it. They don't say this, but they like, you do what you want. Apologize how you want. And I gave one of those half-hearted apologies. They don't care. They just want to have it on record that you were contrite.
And that's all it comes down to. Again, your employer going to give you that call. Like, look, bro, we know we got you out there trying to be that racial warrior, but it's starting to make us look bad. RG3, he may have a point that ESPN, it's a bad look. So go ahead and make that half-hearted apology. You don't have to mean it. Ryan Clark, he does a good job of having a nice scenery, a good camera in the background. And he said what he had to say. But again, I would have been like, I'm keeping that same energy. Is he going to delete his tweets talking about RG3? I don't know. Maybe he did. But again, if you're Ryan Clark, bro, stick to sports. The whole racial thing, that really ain't your vibe, bro. You're trying. It may be working to a certain degree, but sometimes, or most times, he puts your foot in your mouth. So, but shout out to RG3 for forcing Ryan Clark to apologize.